right, welcome in another Questionable podcast. You got Scotty Questions here tonight with Meko.
What's good, man?
And Gian.
How we doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
You're doing well?
Yeah.
How's the weather up there? How's the brood?
It's good. It's good. It's a little chilly, but it's good.
Chilly might.
Oh, it is. Guess what? It was great here today. All right. I actually wore shorts to the gym. It was amazing.
I was went
Wait,
for
what
a
was
run
the temperature?
today at lunch. Shorts on the run. Meko had shorts going to the gym. What was it, like 50?
No, like 60. It was like high 60s, I think, at one point.
Yeah, it was
like
a nice
warmer there than it was here.
Yeah, it was.
It was about the same.
way early.
I think like I'm gonna enjoy that because it's gonna be like the perfect opportunity for me to just take a drink. Because I don't have to say anything. I'm just gonna
And it's loud enough too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like pause and like take a drink anytime you start playing it.
Anyways, welcome in. Please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, the Questionable Podcast. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is growing quickly.
Yes, shout out.
Yeah, thank you to our 100+ subscribers. Very excited about that. We appreciate all the support, everything you guys been contributing, and the kind words. We really appreciate it.
And the non-kind words.
Yeah.
I've had a couple back and forth with some people.
We appreciate you being questionable as well. We appreciate it. So the good and the bad, let's keep the ugly out of it, but the good and the bad, that's fine.
Ooh,
yeah,
I like that, Scott.
Let's stay respectful out here. But like,
yeah. So anyway, so that's good news. So we're getting some analytics going, some metrics. Meko's gonna rock and roll those. But first off, tonight I want to give our prayers in a moment out to the Haskins family. Horrible news down in Florida. So again, our prayers go out to the family and friends and everybody in the Steelers organization and everybody that knew Dwayne. So that's horrible news. We're just going to leave it at that. And, so again, prayers out to family, friends. And having said that, the NFL draft is 16 days away. We're getting there. I will be in Vegas. We will I think I'll have to do it from the hotel room. Maybe I'll do it live walking around. Just depends on the mood. And also next upcoming guest, we have Maz coming in hot. We're going to talk some Tigers with Maz. So we're looking forward to getting Maz on.
From Woodward Sports, he's on the bottom line with Braylon and Ryan.
Yep, Tom Mazaway.
Yep.
Good people, fam. I'm going to run through a couple other things, then we're going to hop right into Lions and the draft, right? We're going to touch on Pistons, but we're going to talk Lions. We're going to talk to Lions. We're going to mention Pistons, some Tigers, but really focus on the Lions and Dan Campbell, what he had to say about the draft. Basically a little this, a little that.
A little bit of everything.
So anyway, congrats to the Masters winner, Scotty Scheffler, his first major of his career. He was 10 under, and he 3-putted to win. Guy was like 4 feet away. Like, no, I'm going to miss that. I'm like 2 feet away. Oh, I'm going to miss that. It was so bad that everyone on the 18th green had to stand up and cheer him on. Like, so it's typically quiet, but they're like, all right, come on, man. Like, just get it in. I mean, he was up like 4 or 5 strokes, so he could have still messed it up. But what, Meko? I felt like you were gonna make a joke, dirty joke.
I was gonna say phrasing.
Yeah. Anyway,
getting in.
That's golf.
Phrasing.
Yep. Rory Mcilroy, which was exciting at the end, he chipped in on 18 out of the bunker, so he got second place because of that. So good on him. And it was really amazing to see Tiger Golf make the cut less than a year ago. He was in a horrible accident, Palos Verdes. Shout out Uncle Bob, where he lives out there, and he said it's where Tiger had the accident. A lot of people have accidents there; it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But congrats to him on golfing it all. He wasn't, he almost lost his foot, shattered his right foot. That's the foot you put all your weight on when you push through the ball. He's right-handed. So it was amazing to see him show up, make the cut, and he was top 50. So on one foot, he got top 50 at the Masters. He was 47th overall. He beat out Max Homa, Jordan Spieth, and Brooks Koepka, all finished like behind him.
So what we're saying is Tiger Woods with even 1 foot is better than
most of the world,
than
top 25 golfers. Yes. So that's amazing. So again, so congrats on that. It was fun to watch Tiger Red on Sunday. You know, he wasn't in contention, but it was just great to see him out there. And this is the new thing. He's not going to play in all the tournaments, but he's going to play in the big ones, and he's still going to be around. So congrats. And you know, that's kind of amazing to see a guy like that work through everything, how difficult he makes it for himself. So congrats to you, Tiger, on that. The Wings have one win in the past 7 games. They beat the Jets a couple of games ago. They just lost tonight against the Senators, so we're not looking good. However, the lone bright light for this evening was Maurice Sider got a point in a power play. So he recorded it's a 21st point, I believe. So he's the first rookie to record 20-plus power play points since Nick Lindstrom in 1991 and 92, 31 years ago. So yet another stat that is similar to that of one Nick Lindstrom, who was and is a Hall of Fame Red Wings defenseman. So that was good tonight. John, I'm curious what the doc has to say. The Wings, the dead Wings? What the dead Wings over there?
I don't know why
he would say, like, I don't even watch them. I don't even watch them.
From New York. You like made him from the Bronx.
I was gonna say, like, I was really about to ask, like, does your dad have a New York accent?
No. No, I haven't spoken to him about them specifically. He is not a fan right now. I should say no. He's a fan, but he's not very happy.
He's in a dark place right
now.
He's
not in a great place.
He did fall for the April Fool's prank that Yzerman was stepping down. That got him.
And we got him,
like in a good way or a bad way.
It was serious. Like John texted me. He goes, "Is there?"
Yeah. He called me and is like, "Have you heard this?"
Anyways, yeah. So we'll keep it moving. That's a quick rundown. Wasn't so quick, but anyway, I just want to hit a couple points there. Main show topics. I think we're going to get into Tigers first, right, Meko?
Yeah. I mean, Tigers baseball.
But is there any questions on the Wings or golf? Real quick.
When does the Wings season end?
Not soon enough.
I was going to say, isn't it like end of April, like early May, something like that?
They still probably have
sometime because like the playoffs are
they have another 12 games ish.
Okay.
And then speaking of that, we got the questionable crew. We got a bobblehead from Mac. Thanks, Mac. Appreciate it.
We got to get Mac on either before the season ends or
he gave us a shout out. He signed the box for us. Thanks, Mac. Appreciate it. Love you, bro.
Yeah.
He was at Monday Night Raw.
I saw.
I didn't hear them today talk about it. Did you hear anything about that?
No, I didn't get to catch Big D Energy today, but
yeah,
I know
I'll have to listen to that tonight after this. But
him and Paul Heyman had a war of words on Twitter.
They did?
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
What happened?
I can't even get into it.
Okay, all right.
It was like all wrestling talk basically, but it was just cool because Paul Heyman is the like mouthpiece or advocate for the current what is Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns is currently like he's
the guy.
He's the unified champion.
He's the guy. He's the latest Rock.
He's actually like really good.
No, he is.
But yeah, he currently has like the SmackDown title. He also has the Universal title, so he's one of a few.
He's the champ.
Yeah, he's the champ. And so yeah, like Paul Heyman's his guy. It's like, you know, his advocate or whatever, or I think it's special counsel to the tribal chief. And so Paul Heyman and Mac had a couple words on.
Great, Twitter, look at Mac. Get Mac on Raw, dude.
Well, yeah,
Pat McAfee got in WrestleMania.
They gave McAfee a match,
which I knew WrestleMania was big, but I didn't know it was like Super Bowl big,
dude. Like, so it used to be.
Did you know this, John?
No.
I feel like it used to be like a one-day event, and it somehow has turned into a 2-day event, and I don't know if I like it or hate it yet.
Okay, that's fair. All I know is I heard the guys, Big D Energy, shout Nero, D-Mac, all the crew, the guy over there, Woodward Sports Heavyweights, Spence and company, but they were talking about the numbers they had shown on. I didn't see because I was listening to the podcast.
Yeah,
but they were saying that WrestleMania is in the arena of Super Bowl numbers. Like so many people watch it. And I mean, I know wrestling's coming back. I watched that Heels show.
Oh, it's been back.
I mean, it's been back, but for me, I'm just seeing it more and more everywhere. Like mainstream, it's kind of like they're really pushing ad space. I mean, everybody's
because we're back in a space. I don't know how we got here, but we're in a space where there are now 2 major wrestling promotions now. So it's no longer just WWE, where it was obviously like that for a long time.
Right.
But I feel like WWE was always at its best when it had to compete with WCW. And so now they have AEW out here, and there's a direct competitors to WWE. So there's a little more
drama, competition.
There's more effort that has to be put into the storytelling, right? Like,
and ad buys, all of it.
So it's good for wrestling fans. I've been enjoying it.
It's so funny. I was telling Mar about that. She goes, wrestling? She just was like, what? I'm like, yeah.
It's the storytelling.
It is the storytelling. And for those that haven't seen the show Heels, awesome show. It's got the son of Ragnar Lothbrok from the Vikings. Do you remember? Did you see that? Did you see the Vikings show?
I watched like the first 2 seasons of it, and then I felt
his son ends up becoming a badass in the show.
Yeah.
And he's this, tall, skinny, blonde hair Viking kid dude that takes over for Ragnar. And he's one of the main characters, and he does a really good job. And I really, really liked it. So I didn't think I would, but it was really great. I crushed through it in like 2 nights and was like, when's the next season coming out? Like, I am into wrestling. Let's go. And, and it's called Heels. And so for those that don't know, heels are the bad guys, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And the good guys are called
faces.
Okay.
I believe.
Yep. Faces and heels.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to get into it. Moving on. I was asking if there's any questions on the wings or golf.
And somehow we got to wrestling.
Mac, because of hockey.
Gotcha.
And that's how we got into wrestling. Anyways, no questions.
No.
Keep it moving. Okay. All right. I mean, we have no guests today. I'm just gonna go ham
on the buttons.
on the pads today. So just everyone brace yourself. I'm letting you know ahead of time. There will be some good drops, but there will be some bad drops. So deal with it. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
I don't forgive you.
Okay, that's fine. Moving on. Tigers season is underway. Comeback win opening day, followed by 2 straight losses to the White Sox.
Yeah, it was so opening day. The opening day game was amazing, right? I actually watched a good portion. I think I missed like the first couple innings once the Tigers pulled their starting pitcher, but the last couple innings where they were able to kind of like get back into the game and eventually get that win, it was incredible. Like, maybe it's just because like there's been a lot of losing with the Pistons and the Wings. It was just like, it was refreshing to see like a Detroit sports team win something and to win it in dramatic fashion.
In opening day too. Opening day was a big day downtown. For those that didn't see it, I watched a little bit of the Big D energy because Mac had, he wore his opening day Tigers hoodie. Shout out to, again, Mac for repping that. And for those that don't know, we have a new Tigers Peace Out hoodie. I think it came up pretty cool. But there was a ton of people downtown. Tigers opening day it's a thing, and it's been the first time in a couple of years. Yeah, but the first time in a couple of years with COVID, like it was packed in this giant tent outside the music hall. I was like, holy shnikes.
Yeah.
People were out. They were out for the game, and for the Tigers to come back and win it. Yes, I totally agree with watching it, but the fact that it was opening day at home too.
Yeah, and we've kind of talked about, like, I don't know how much baseball we're going to talk this season on the podcast, because maybe once Maz schools us a little bit on baseball, maybe we'll have a little bit.
We're going to get Maz on every 40 games, which is like every 2 days.
I don't even think that's even like plausible.
I'm kidding. There's just a lot of games in baseball. It's like 160 games.
Well, and that's why I say, like, I don't know how much baseball we're going to talk, because there's a game almost every day, but
we'll talk highlights.
So I don't know. With all of that said, like, what are your guys' expectations for the Tigers this year? Like, do you guys have any set expectations for them going through the rest of the season?
I would like them to be better than last season.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. I just want a decent team. I mean, they didn't go crazy in the offseason, right? I mean, we got Baez. That seems to be working so far, you know, and Meadows. I want to be able to enjoy the games if I go to a Tigers game. You know, I might go to 1 or 2 a year. I don't go to a ton. It's just hard to watch, too. It's hard to fit in the whole game. They're not short games. So, but I do love the Tigers, root for the Tigers. I don't know what. You know, I just want to be good. Like, I want them all to be good. So I just want to be better than last season. I want to see some improvement, just like I want to see improvement from the Wings next season and the Pistons. Like, I just want to see improvement because I think they have a couple years before they're going to be good.
Yeah,
like that good.
I mean, yeah. They're that whole like them being better than they were last year. Like that's a tough task, right? They won 77 games last year.
I know.
So like essentially, we're basically like that's. Anything better than that, like you basically have to be in playoff contention, right?
Well, that would be ideal.
Yeah. I mean, like my expectations are kind of in line with yours, right? Like I don't follow them closely enough to be like, this should be easy to get into the playoffs. Because again, I think baseball is, as far as a team sport, is probably the hardest team sport to play.
You know what we should do? I agree with you. I'm just thinking, so we will learn and we can teach. We should pick out like new baseball rules every week. One baseball rule or something that we didn't know about baseball.
Are there that many rules?
I mean, there are a bunch of rules.
I feel like baseball,
or we could pull out old Detroit stats, old Tiger stats or something like that. I don't know. Just something to.
I mean, that's why, like, again, I think
Tiger stat of the day.
Having Maz on here is going to like help a ton because I think it'll help the same way like having Eric on here helps frame how you look at things,
right?
Because like I want to be able to watch the Tigers as a smart fan, right, and not somebody who's just emotional, right? Like I want to be able to watch baseball intelligently and like have an idea of who's good, who's not, and which matchups the Tigers should have a chance of winning and which ones they don't. John, what about you? What are your kind of expectations for the Tigers this year?
I would like to, in the same vein as the Pistons, the Lions, and all the other sports, I would like to see them pick up where they left off. Obviously, with a 162 game season, there are. It's going to take them a little bit to find their rhythm, and I don't think. We have Lions. If they win, if they lose, it's a huge thing. So there's one game a week, and then Red Wings. Pistons, they're a little bit more important, but they probably 2-3 games a week, and then, but I mean, Tigers play like every day, and so if they get off to a slow start, just remember it's a very long season. I actually I went to a lot of games as a kid in Old Tiger Stadium because my mom was actually a stadium nurse there for a number of years. So she got us to she'd bring us, me and my sister, and we'd go and we'd not necessarily like the back, but you could tell I could tell I was a little kid, but I could recall that I was where no one else was, like where people aren't kind of supposed to go. So a lot of fond memories with the Tigers, a lot of fond memories with just baseball in general, and so I'm gonna be looking forward to it. But I think just to pick up where they left off, I think like what Scott said, constant improvement, not in a constant improvement, but just better than last season. Just even as slow as that was, as slow as that may be, because that's kind of one of the reasons why I think Pistons felt like such a letdown, right? Is because their games last season were so entertaining, and by the end they had us so excited. But then, we had this high draft pick, and then we get Cade, and then hopes were so high, and and then it kind of turned out the way it did, and we're kind of left scratching our heads. And we're probably going to touch on this later, but now what? Is we're sort of in this exact same situation. So that was a big letdown. So I just want to not be in that, because post All-Star break, the Tigers led their division, and so that's going to be tough to repeat. But the talent's there. Added Meadows, added Baez. So I just think, building off of where they left off. That's what I want from the Lions. It's what I want from from all our sports teams.
Yeah, I think you made a good point too about, again, it's a long season, right? So it's weird because I think that's the same thing. That's how I feel with like basketball, right? Like it's hard to like have a knee-jerk reaction when you know it's 82 games. So like reacting to anything within the first week seems silly.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, it's the only, well, not the only. We still have wings for like a couple more weeks. But after that, like it's going to be Tigers. And I think you are going to see a lot of people overreact simply because it's the only thing that you have sports wise to react
There's
to.
golf.
I mean, local sports.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, who really gets like that amped up?
There is a Michigan State golfer that made the Masters, was playing in the Masters. So anyway, local on the tour.
See, John's face. I mean, yeah.
Good for him.
I know,
Yeah.
I get it, but yes, it's the only thing going on. Detroit FC, Neil Rule, shout out.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like there's, USFL kicks off in a couple weeks.
There we go.
But I mean,
Pride of Detroit guys were talking about that and like, yeah, we try and get into it, and then it's just like, no.
Yeah.
Like you watch the first week and you're like, okay, no.
Yeah, no, there's going to be some ridiculousness going on. But I think Tigers are going to get, because the expectations are high, right? Like I've already heard so many people that expect the Tigers to not just make the playoffs, but win their division. Like that's a huge leap. Granted, to your point, John, right? Like they were leading their division after the All-Star break. So there is going to be that expectation. But I mean, again, this is just my opinion. I just think baseball is difficult. I don't think it's as easy to just roll into the next season and pick up where you left off, and as it is for some other, some other sports, right? Like people go into like batting slumps where they're just not hitting well, or you have guys that are just pitching erratically for whatever reason, and it's such a mental thing that you have to get out of your own way to like succeed. And so, and again, like we said, 162 games is a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, but it's a sport, and hopefully they can continue on their success from last season, what it was, and hopefully they can grow.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think as long as they're not what the Pistons were this year. Like I know
there it is. There's a benchmark.
Yeah, I know
I'll agree with that benchmark. I'll go with that.
Because you can't like, and I don't mean like repeating the same record, like you just can't regress that badly. Because I think in looking at the Pistons, we can kind of like change gears here a little bit. Like looking at the Pistons, they finished out their season. I got to see their last home game. Me and my wife went to go see them play the Bucks, and I paid good money to get really good seats.
Yeah.
Don't regret that at all. Saw a lot of people that like being able to see people that like aren't that far away from you, like holy crap, like I can really see that person. Saw Troy Weaver, saw Ben Wallace. What's the like Detroit security guy that was like making waves? I cannot remember this dude's name, but he was like a big deal like on social media for like giving bad self-defense lessons.
I remember. I forget.
But like he was there, and so
it was the whole thing. You were in the scene.
Yeah. So like,
Meko was in the scene.
We had
really, in the Pistons scene.
We had really good seats. I was happy to go. It was the first and only game I went to all season. And they played terrible. Like god awful. And the only thing, like my wife looked at me at the end of the game and she was like, hey, that guy on the other team is really good. And I was like, which one? She was like, the tall one, 34. I was like, oh, Giannis. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah. He's amazing.
MVP champ.
So, but like, yeah, the thing about the Pistons is I agree with what John was saying earlier, right? Like the Pistons had ended their season last year with so much excitement because these young guys were playing and you were like, oh, well, if you can add another piece to these young guys, it should be a little more exciting. I was dumb enough to think that like I thought they could be in playoff contention.
Pistons?
Right? Yeah, I thought they could have been in playoff contention with Cade because the NBA
that was the hope.
Right. Well, because the NBA is unique in that you only need a couple star players. You don't need 5 all-stars. You need like an all-star and a superstar and then like nobody to get seriously injured, which that is part of the problem with the Pistons. They did have some injuries.
Right. Cade started out injured, right?
Yeah, Cade started out injured.
So that started his season off slow.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you still only won 3 games more than you did the previous year.
Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not good. So what we're saying, so to wrap up the Tigers, we're gonna say the benchmark is just don't be as bad as the Pistons were. That's all. Okay, so that's a questionable benchmark for the Tigers.
I think it's attainable, right?
Yeah, that's fair. We're giving them a shot.
I think it's a lot of grace that we're giving the Tigers.
That's fine.
We're being very generous here.
We're
extremely generous. Way more generous than I think other people will be.
We are laughing. Okay. All right. Pistons. Speaking of that, Pistons.
So I find it funny.
Season's over.
Yeah, I find it funny how like last week's episode we were like, oh, the Pistons are refusing to tank, and then like this week it's like, oh yeah, they lost 3 in a row.
Yeah. Well, just like the Wings have lost what? They've lost
6 of 7, I think you said.
6 of 7. There you go.
Yeah. So
that helps.
I mean,
the Pistons should have locked up the top 3, right? With losing out.
Yeah.
We've locked up being in the top 3. Better chance to get a top 3 pick, right?
Yeah. So we're tied for the best odds to get the number 1 pick. So
perfect. Love it.
So yeah, we are tied with, I believe it's the Rockets and the Orlando Magic. So we all have a shot at
there we go.
The first overall pick.
All right. So if we get somebody else with Cade, I mean, come on.
I mean, that's the hope, right? But
come on.
So this is my only thing with the Pistons, right? You want to say that like Cade looks like a superstar in the making. I've been hyping up Sadiq since day one.
Right.
That Sadiq, I believe Sadiq will make an all-star game. I believe he'll make the all-star game next year. I think he's that good.
Yeah, I was impressed with Sadiq this season.
The only hiccup to the Pistons, like really getting stuff going, is that the East is tough. Like,
yeah,
there was a time in the 90s, like late 90s, early 2000s, even like mid 2000s, where like the West was what the East is now, where like every team in the West was like just about every team in the West was winning 40 games. It was a dog fight to get into the playoffs, and like you could be like decent or good and miss out on the playoffs just because you couldn't crack 40 wins. And looking at how the East is set up now, it's very much like that. And so in order for the Pistons to kind of make that level of progression or to even become and put themselves in place for contention, like we're looking at them having to win double the games that they won this year. And that's such a hard ask, I believe, in the NBA. Even with, again, how great I think Cade is, with how great I think Sadiq is, and then it's just like the question mark of like, okay, well, who do you draft this year? And do they draft anybody? Do they end up trading that pick?
Right.
And I may be in the minority here, right? Like it's going to be hard for me to watch them struggle another season. Right? Like I need them to win 30 games. At least win 30 games. And that's basically just saying win 7 more games than you won this year. And that should be relatively easy to do with a healthy Cade.
So anything else on that, John? I think we're probably good on that. Let's hop into the draft, the NFL draft. Dan Campbell spoke to the media. He had some interesting things to say. So Meko, do you want to hop into this? Do you want to break, John?
I was gonna say let John kind of rap a little bit about
it. John, can we get your 2 cents on the draft here? I know we've been texting a lot about what's going on. You guys didn't know Malik was in town. Kidding, I was joking. For those that don't know,
he wasn't. He wasn't joking.
For those that don't know, John was, I forget, some rant about how everybody's visiting and Malik has. I'm like, well, he's already here and he was about to leave, and so the guys didn't know I was kidding. I was kidding. And they thought I was serious. So
it was noted. I was gonna say it was a text message. How are we supposed to know you're kidding?
I don't know. Because you guys would have known. We would have heard it.
Like I said earlier, right before we got on the podcast, we
we
literally just found out today that Jermaine Johnson is coming tomorrow. Right? Like it's not like we have a list of everybody that's coming. We literally just found out today. Jermaine Johnson's coming tomorrow.
Gotcha.
I think Kyle Hamilton's coming like later this week as well. Like, so we're literally finding stuff out like days before.
Anyways, got the guys. Anyway, no, Malik has not been here. But John, Dan Campbell had some interesting things to say. Do you want to share what you think? What his comments were?
Sure. Are you referring to they don't believe in positional value anymore?
I was gonna say there's like you pick a
because there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to go.
He said a lot. Why don't you pick whatever you'd like to touch on?
So I think what I'm going to touch on is I think the Lions have been doing a great job at not showing their hand, not tipping their hand at all. I think credit to Holmes, credit to Campbell as well. But I genuinely think no one has any idea what they're going to do. Pride of Detroit talked about this, that it could go any way. That there's always, like, anytime they talk about quarterbacks, there's always this, oh, but then in the last sentence, he said something that leaves the door open. Or, they
Right.
talk about Goff. He's our guy. We love what he does. He finished out the season 3-1, great pass, 108 passer rating. But if we like a guy, we're, if we, and it's like, there's always this,
we're gonna take him.
there's always this. And then, so I think they've done a fantastic in Brad Holmes down in, was that Palm Beach? All the press conferences and when he was on McAfee's show, I think they're doing a great job of not giving anything away. And what this made me think of was Dan Campbell's sort of persona. We've talked about this on the show in the past, that he sort of has this persona, and I think this is on purpose, and I think he purposefully lets people believe that he is a meathead. And I think Dan Campbell is much smarter than he presents. And I think if he wasn't, then he would have slipped up by now. In some way, shape, or form, we would have much more information on who they're going to take
Right
at 2. And we don't. We just don't. And I think that speaks to Dan Campbell's savvy. We all know that, he's a great motivator, players coach. They talk about that all the time. But I think he's much, much smarter than he lets on. And I think he's fine with people believing that. And that goes back to Rod Wood, president of operations, said something down in Palm Beach when it was announced, when he was asked about Hard Knocks. Right. Lions being on Hard Knocks. And he said, if you like Dan Campbell now, you're going to love him on Hard Knocks. And I think that's because what people know of him now is the rah-rah, do a press conference in a racing helmet, biting kneecaps. We know, we know the sort of the fun side, or the sort of the showman. And
the media highlights what people want to pick apart.
And I think Hard Knocks is really going to highlight this sort of knock on him that, you need an X's and O's guy. You need an X's and O's guy. And I think maybe that's what Rod Wood meant a little bit, is that there is this other side to this guy that not a lot of people know, because he's sort of, he's like, what, 6'4", 260, and like still is like wide as a door frame at,
he's a monster in person.
Yeah. And, he's got these, he speaks slowly. He's got that, like the whole dude affect. And I think there is a very functional brain on those shoulders. And I think that's what I think people are really going to start to realize on Hard Knocks. And that's another reason why I'm very excited about them on Hard Knocks. And that's it.
I think that he probably, So John, to add on to that, is I'm sure he learned a couple tricks from Sean Payton.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I bet that he's got a couple tricks up his sleeve that he's learned from Sean that we have no idea, that we might find out down the road. And this is one of them, hey, look over here, like he's done, but I'm really working over here, look over here. I do still think that there's a chance they take Malik with all of this and not having him in. I think that, my opinion, just real quick, back to Malik train, is that I think they learned everything that they need to know from the Senior Bowl, and they don't really need to talk to him. So they either know, they know everything they need to know to make the decision. I'm not sure that they have their decision, because, like we're going to talk about, the number 1 pick is up for grabs right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is Aiden Hutchinson. I think that we can talk about that. But anyway, John, that's all I wanted to add on is I think Sean Payton still has some influence, over what Dan Campbell's doing now and what he learned there.
For sure. And to that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like I feel like he has been coached up, right? Because I think if we remember what Dan Campbell was like last season, especially during the offseason and at moments during the season, dude couldn't keep a lid on anything. Like he literally just like spoke his mind. And I do believe
so funny and true.
I believe at some point in time, once the offseason hit, like him and Brad, because they say that they talk all the time, that they are collaborative, that they are joined at the hip. I'm sure he sat him down as a coworker, as a friend, and was like, bruh, you can't keep spilling. Like, you're as bad as Tom Holland with these Avenger like stuff. Like, you can't keep just going out here and just saying whatever you feel. And that's why, like, I believe what Dan Campbell is doing now, I don't believe that he all of a sudden became this master manipulator, right? I don't believe he's all of a sudden.
No, but he might have Sean Payne on speed dial. When can he be a part of the leadership team?
I think what we're seeing here is a little bit of coaching, right? Him being coached up in how to handle the media. But I think Dan Campbell is still Dan Campbell at his core. And so I think when we're hearing him speak and him talk about these different things, it's almost like he's playing a game of like two truths and a lie, right? Like something, he just can't help himself, right? And I really kind of
so funny.
I really do kind of like this analogy of comparing him to Tom Holland, because if you've ever seen Tom Holland do an interview when he's in a Marvel movie, the dude can't help himself. Like he's been told repeatedly, like, do not spill secrets about the movie. And if you get him talking enough, it's something little, and you can always like tell, because like you'll watch the video back and he reacts to it and he's just like, oh, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Okay.
And that's what I feel about Dan Campbell is like, at his core, he is still saying something. They've just taught him to say enough stuff where you don't know which thing is the truth. And that's why, like, listening to, or reading up on like his comments this past week, I believe the thing that he's probably telling the truth about is, one, why they've been investing so much into Kayvon Thibodeau, right? His explanation of, we're trying to check every box. There's a couple of things that, we want to be sure on before we either rule him as our pick or rule him out as our pick. I think that's honest. I think that is very truthful of why they are doing so much due diligence.
Yeah, just internal ranking.
Well, because it's a dude that at one point in time was a consensus #1 pick. So you would think, like, shouldn't you guys already have this buttoned up? And he's saying no. Like, no, there's some things that we still kind of want to discuss and we want to go through and review and whatever. So I believe he's being very honest about that. I think he's also being very honest that they do want a player that they can plug and play and expect to get big time production out of.
Immediate impact.
Yeah, I believe that is very much true. That they would love to get somebody that is either going to be guaranteed a starting role or is going to compete heavily for a starting role, or at least be in a strong rotation to get on the field a lot this upcoming season. So that only leaves the only thing I can think of that he's probably lying about is the quarterback situation, right? I believe that he is lying about that, in that the lie is that, like, that they love this draft class, right? I don't think they do.
Oh,
or at least they
okay.
Or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As much as they love Jared Goff. And I don't think that they're like looking at this draft class like, well, we have to bring in one of these guys to compete with Jared. I don't think that's high on their list. And him saying that it is, I think, is just, again, fodder just to, kind of just have that out in the wind. Maybe
look over here.
Yeah, maybe you do spook a team, behind you that maybe feels like maybe they bite on the bait that, like, well, the Lions really will take Malik at 2, and maybe you get a trade partner.
They might. So here's the other thing, right? And I just say that, like, the way in which things fall on draft day, a lot of this will happen day before, when people actually start having to make a decision. Everything we're talking about now is all hypotheticals, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. But we have no idea. Like, they could have Malik as their #1 on their board of rankings, but they could, whatever.
But then that makes everything else like. But then again, like I said, it's still playing two truths and a lie. Like, then
Correct.
he's just lying about something different.
Correct. Now we're gonna do a mock draft next week. So for those that want to be a part of that or tune in, that will be interesting.
Yeah.
And we each get one veto. And Meko set it up, so they're trapping me. It's trap
baiting.
trap game.
Because we know Scott's gonna want to veto like our first pick.
You don't know that.
I do know. I just unfortunately I've told you that, and so like now it's just gonna be like, can you help yourself?
No.
So when we pick,
probably not.
So just so you guys know ahead of time, when John and I basically agree on Trayvon Walker, just realize that wasn't our first pick.
It's amazing. So I just think that there is more here, and I appreciate Dan and the Lions organization. For the first time, it feels like they are in lockstep together.
Sure.
President, the GM, the coach. It just feels like they're all on the same page. They're not saying different things. They're all kind of being loosey-goosey. But
well, yeah, I mean, if you think back to when Trisha was in charge, the Jeff Okudah draft, right? Like there was division at the top about Jeff Okudah because Bob Quinn wanted Jeff and Patricia wanted, I think, Derek Brown.
Yeah.
And there was a divide over the two. Like, I don't think we'll hear much of that. Right?
No, we won't hear any of that. Even if there is that, it's probably healthier debate about who should be ranked ahead of the other, not just I'm taking this guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope it's healthy debate, right? I think
it seems like that. I mean, you were just saying that.
Yeah. I mean, what I mean is when I say I hope it's healthy debate, I hope it's something where like they're at least agreeing on at least the same side of the ball, right? Because this is like I think this could actually get like confrontational or get contentious if it's like Brad wants Malik, but you know Dan's like, no, I want Kayvon or I want an edge rusher. Like that's a hard bridge to cross because you guys are on completely different sides of the ball. Like that's a much harder thing to come to the middle on. At least if you're on the same side of the ball, like you can probably have a better conversation about.
I know we're gonna get
just like like who's the better edge rusher is a much different conversation, or which of these edge rushers fits what we want to do versus I want an edge rusher and you want a quarterback.
Yeah,
right.
That's
like that.
Yeah.
But I'm real quick with the Malik thing. I want to say that it's not just the quarterback. I'm saying it's the leadership. It's
right.
not just
that's
so it's like you want a quarterback it's I want the leadership of this quarterback. Just clarifying that.
Yeah, no, but that's
finger dancing, clarifying that.
But no, that's why I think like I do think
the Malik dance,
the immediate impact quote or comments has to be one of the truest things that Dan is saying because as much as I love Malik, right? Like we've talked about it, Malik is my second choice after Kayvon. I don't know. We can't necessarily guarantee that it's immediate impact, right? Unless he's given equal opportunity to start. That's the only way that you can guarantee that.
So I have a question then. Who does have, in your opinion, Meko first, then John, who has and could have the most immediate impact?
On the field or as a leader?
On the field.
On the field, I still believe it's Kayvon. I think we probably do need to have a conversation about Aiden Hutchinson because it's possible that he could be available. So
okay. So question with Kayvon. So Kayvon he didn't play COVID year, correct?
Correct. Or no, he did play COVID year. Yeah. Yeah, it was a shortened season.
Yeah,
okay.
Oregon only played a handful of games though.
Okay. Yeah. And then he was injured
this past season. Yeah.
What did he injure?
Ankle?
Do we know? Ankle?
So I believe.
Okay. So his last full season was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's 2 year removed. Now, Panay didn't play 1 season, right?
That's where I was going with that.
He sat out.
So he was 1 season removed and he was fine. No problem, right?
Right.
Okay. So Kayvon would be 2 seasons almost removed. You could argue.
How?
How many games did he miss this year?
I mean, not enough for it to be a concern as far as like him not Like,
Okay, that's why I'm asking. I'm just asking the question.
yeah, I think he missed like 3 or 4. I want to
Okay.
say.
All right. That's fine. I thought he had missed more. So that's fine. So Kayvon will have the most immediate impact.
In my opinion, yeah.
In your opinion.
Yeah.
Over Aiden Hutchinson.
I think we could have a healthy debate, right, about Aiden.
Okay.
Because I think
But you are a Kayvon fan.
I am a Kayvon fan. So yes,
Okay.
Kayvon is my pick if I were the one making the pick.
Got it.
I think, in all honesty, I think Aiden and Kayvon would probably have similar production going into their season. I think they would probably. I don't think anybody's going to drastically outperform the other.
I can't wait to see those two players' stats at the end of their first season. I'm most curious about those two.
Yeah.
I am. I'm curious to see how Aiden will do, and I'm very curious to see how Kayvon will do. So okay, so that's it. So
Well,
John,
to answer your other question though,
yes,
about Kayvon
yes.
played in 10 games this season.
Okay. John.
I'm pretty much right there. I'm pretty much right there with Meko. I think
that Kayvon's going to have the most.
Yeah, and I think to your question, it is a great question. I think we can go back and forth. I think, as Eric pointed out, there is a very good case to be made for Hutchinson. More though to what you said, not just about the end of their season, the rookie season. I think by the end of the rookie contract, it's going to be very interesting looking back at Hutchinson versus Thibodeau, because and this is, I think Eric touched on this too, and something that we've talked about, if in fact Thibodeau has the higher ceiling, I don't think that will bear itself out in just one season. I think they're, the stats very well may be very similar by the end of the rookie season, and then Aiden Hutchinson sort of, I'm not going to say plateaus, but like he's reached like, this is what I am. And, Kayvon might keep going up another level. For example, if he talks about, and he's very open about the weaknesses in his own game, is that second, and Eric touched on this too, that second move. If he is able to develop a second move, then Thibodeau by the end of the rookie contract, I think is going to be hands down the better player.
And I wish, this is another thing though, to piggyback off of that, I wish people would stop saying that he doesn't have a second move. Because if you think he doesn't have a second move, then you never listen to his press conference at the combine where he talks about setting up moves. And I'm not saying specifically, but I'm just saying people in general. If you believe Kayvon Thibodeau does not have a second move, like I would really implore you to go back, listen to his press conference when he was at the combine and they asked him about that. And if you think he doesn't love football, if you don't think that he's aware of what happens on a football field, that was another thing that came out of Dan Campbell's press conference that I was also caught my eye, is that he says, like, how do you know if a guy loves football? Well, he knows the game. He knows how to talk it. He may not know the perfect words to use, but he is passionate about it. He studies it. He knows how to break it down. That is a characteristic that Kayvon Thibodeau has. So when you listen to him talk about, well, hey, I'm gonna start out with speed on the outside, and then eventually later I'm gonna come back with a long arm, or I'm gonna dip, or I'm gonna ghost, and I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, those are 3 different moves. The only problem that I think people have with Kayvon when they say he doesn't have multiple moves is that all of his moves are based off of speed. He doesn't have a power move. That's what people are critiquing him on. He doesn't win with power often. Whereas Aiden Hutchinson will predominantly actually wins with power, but he can occasionally win with speed. And I think that's the issue that people have with Kayvon. It's just like, well, he doesn't have a bull rush. He doesn't have a spin, but neither does Aiden. Trayvon Walker only has one move. Like, if we're being honest, so it's just like it's a weird critique that people have been throwing out there, and it's like I don't buy it, right? I don't think that's an accurate assessment of his skills. I think he has a go-to setup, which is speed, and that maybe rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess, yeah. Sure. So that's great. And I had forgotten about that. I guess where I was coming from with that comment was, I do remember his comments from the combine in regarding his own development and that
Yeah.
quote that got taken way out of context about how like, like there's nothing a coach can tell me. And then,
Yeah.
but if you read his entire answer, it's because like I watch my own tape. I'm just very like in a healthy way, self-critical. I'm always analyzing what I can do to see if I can do it better. And, to me, coming from, a musical background, I've been playing piano for 30 years. When you get into the nitty gritty, it's, how do I move this one finger? How do I shift my hand to make this scale more fluid? And we're talking about nano moves, like micro moves within your wrist rotation. And, but that's the mindset that professionals have, is they're constantly thinking about this. And so I think like that's more where I was coming from, that I think Kayvon has that mindset that he is going to be constantly looking to improve and get better in, not just I'm going to become more powerful, I'm going to become faster. It's like this is a chess game. The guy plays chess. He was that was one cool thing about the combine. And so so I think by the end of the rookie contract, I think is going to be very interesting looking back if who has the better numbers there.
John, you watched the Pride of Detroit interview with Deontay Lee, right?
Yes.
And did you catch his comment about how he believes that Kayvon at times overthinks?
Yes.
Like he sometimes like he's trying to play chess so much that he forgets that, like, or I guess in a sense he forgets, like, dude, you could probably just beat this guy with speed. Like, you don't have to do another move. You can literally probably just beat this dude with your first step.
Yeah, was that him or Eric who was like, sometimes it's like, if you have the best fastball in the league, just throw your fastball, right?
Well, Eric was saying that about Trayvon Walker. Like, maybe he doesn't need a second move right now because his first move is just that good. But that is something else that I think this, like, a coaching staff is going to have to really, that's probably the biggest thing that a coaching staff will have to do with Kayvon Thibodeau, is teaching him to trust what he does best. Maybe it doesn't win all the time, but trust it enough to where you're going to get this guy enough times, right? Like, you're not going to get a sack on every play, but if you get 3 of them, that's a good game.
Right.
Oh boy. Oh, dear.
Well, I had a just a brief follow-up from you for both of you guys. Because I love the 2 truths and a lie idea. So where do you think?
So thank you for answering the questions, John. I'm just so I think we got through the questions there.
Oh yeah.
So John, sorry, I couldn't hear you, Mayor.
What?
Hello? Are you there?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I
was joking. My gosh.
What were you joking about?
Are definitely landing today. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were on the internet. I couldn't hear you. So you had started talking and stopped and then started back up for me in my ear. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's all I was saying.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Okay. So anyway, so you were saying.
The question I have for you guys is, because I really like that 2 truths and a lie idea. Do you guys think that positional value doesn't matter is a truth or a lie?
I believe it's a lie.
Okay.
It may be a white lie, but like I don't buy that. I don't believe. I think this is what I said in notes. I don't believe that Brad Holmes would take a safety at 2. I don't believe that. I think I believe if he really wants Kyle Hamilton, he will trade back.
Yeah. Well, see, that's where I was kind of going, and I wanted to say this, but then I forgot, so I just ignored it. But that is what I wanted to say, and this was what Eric brought up last week, was just in purely pragmatic self-preservation mode.
Yeah,
they have to hit with pick number 2.
Yeah,
and I think like that plays into that immediate impact player, and why that's definitely a truth is like they cannot miss with that one. And so I think so that makes sense as to why the positional value, it being a white lie.
Yeah, well, because if we believe that the immediate impact is a truth, right? what's the guaranteed impact that Kyle Hamilton is going to have?
Right.
Like, what can you, right? Because we talked about this back when we first talked about Kyle Hamilton. He's going to have to be schemed up.
Mhm.
You're going, like, if you want him to disrupt the passing game through by blitzing, you're gonna have to scheme up a blitz, and then you're gonna have to hope he gets home on said blitz. You are going to have to hope that he is solid, like rock solid in coverage. And there's just so many different things. Like, what is the guaranteed impact? And I'm not saying this as a guy that, again, if the Lions did pick him, look, he's a Lion. We would embrace him, and then it's just like, all right, like, Aaron Glenn, show me this wizardry that you're about to do with this guy.
Right.
But I don't know if there's guaranteed impact. I don't know if there's immediate impact with Kyle Hamilton. You know, I believe that there would be immediate impact with an Aiden Hutchinson, with a Kayvon Thibodeau, with a Trayvon Walker in some capacity, because they're so close to the ball, right? So whether it's passing situations, run situations, there is immediate impact that they can have on the game based off of the positions that they play. Kyle Hamilton is going to kind of be at the mercy of quarterbacks.
Right.
Little white lies.
But Scott, what do you think? What is your
Tell me
personal-
lies, tell me lies, tell me lies. Yeah, in general,
yeah,
they have to hit this pick, right? They're not gonna, they can't get cute with it, right? Even Malik is getting cute. Malik is, to me, the best leader in the draft.
yeah,
And I think he really sets you up for the future. And it depends on their experience with him in the Senior Bowl. I know I keep going back to that, but if that's something that's, if they've already decided, like, this is the guy to bring us into the, the future, maybe that they've already decided. But anyway, that aside, everything we do know, right, is what I'm, so that's a hypothetical, but everything we do know, they're going to have to do, like, Aiden, right? If Aiden doesn't get picked first, which he might not now, I think it's Aiden or Kayvon. I think that those are your two safest bets. That's why Kayvon's in town. You know, who else just came in town? Who else is coming in town? Jermaine.
Jermaine Johnson's going to be in town.
I mean, that's another one too, that
Yeah.
they might like Jermaine a lot. And it goes into the ranking. And when do we think when is Jermaine going on mocks right now?
Top 10. So, like, around, like, I think anywhere like from like 6 to 10 is kind of his range.
Yeah, and I think what they're looking at is, are we going to be able to coach this player up? I think it's more, in my opinion, they have to play it safe, but what they're looking at is, how much potential does this player have, and how open are they to coaching? Because they have a great coaching team, like a great coaching group. And someone like Kayvon, if he's going to take to the coaching, great. Then his floor could be, or is Aiden going to take, or is Jermaine going to be the one that's going to fit the best with what we need on the defense right now? Like, we have to think of this too, also as a team. Like, we lose it in a little bit in these players and what they can do and what they're doing, but they're adding value to the team that we already have.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what that locker room is like. I mean, there's a personality that they need to fit into as well, but the way in which they're building this team, the Lions.
Yeah.
Now, with a no die attitude that, you're going to have to keep going and going and going. What I'm just saying, like, again, this is something we don't know. Like, the personality of this person is going to be big too in the locker room. Like, what gap does it have to fit in the locker room? We don't know. We're not in the locker room. I just feel there's something to that as well. That's an added piece that they're looking for on top of the talent.
Right. Well, and I mean, I think that's why we end up having these conversations. That's why these conversations end up coming back to Kayvon a lot, I think, because he's the only one that we've heard as an option for the Lions that, quote unquote, has character concerns. But I also feel like he's also provided enough answers through media interviews and through comments from Dan Campbell himself that kind of confirm, like, no, he checks that box too, just not as well as maybe an Aiden Hutchinson, or he doesn't check the box in the same way as an Aiden Hutchinson.
Right. I agree. I mean, I just think there's a whole nother level to it that we'll find out in Hard Knocks, hopefully, with whoever we do draft. I do think it is a personality thing. I don't want to say culture. I want to say culture, but I'm not going to say culture. I think it's a personality thing. I think it's someone that they have to get that will help round out the defensive side, the team, that part of the team.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll find that out. The crazy thing is if Trayvon Walker goes first, like that is going to be the gasp in the draft room where it's just like, oh, he went first, and everybody's gonna be looking at Aiden Hutchinson like, so he's going to Detroit, right? And then it's just like, he doesn't.
Well, then my question is why is Aiden going 1? Right. So I forget who said this today, but all this Aiden, like, he wasn't originally 1. Like, how did he get thrown up to 1?
He had I don't want to say that because I think that's disingenuous.
Okay.
I was going to say he had an amazing game against Ohio State. That is disingenuous because Aiden was having a phenomenal season prior to the Ohio State game.
We appreciate your honesty.
But the Ohio State game did probably take him to a next level because that game also put him in the Heisman conversation. And I believe I could be wrong, but I feel like anytime you get a defensive player in the Heisman race, you shoot up draft boards. Like, forget everything else. It doesn't matter if you win it or not. The fact that you were even in the conversation puts you at the top of the draft board, right? If we remember when Ndamukong Suh went 2nd overall, he was in the Heisman voting, right?
Right.
Didn't win it, still got drafted 2nd overall. So I think that's a little bit of what it is that Aiden was already having a phenomenal season. He had an amazing game against Ohio State, which also propelled him into Heisman conversation. And that is what kind of helped him jump Kayvon, who, again, Kayvon had an okay season in comparison to Aiden's.
Right. To me, it goes back a little bit to these players you get in the later first, like the 3rd, 4th rounders that are stars.
Yeah.
And it feels like a little bit of timing for Aiden was really benefiting him.
Yeah.
Timing. And PR. I mean, a lot of this is PR. Think about how much.
You mean the fact that he went to the University of Michigan?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of it's PR and then good PR and bad PR. Look at Kayvon's bad PR that's getting out there that had him drop from 1, right? About his attitude. I'm just saying a lot of this is PR speculation, all this stuff. Like,
true. Yeah. So would Kayvon still be in contention for number 1 if we had never started hearing rumors that he had
correct
poor work ethic?
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Yeah. I guess that's a question, right? I mean,
again, we're dealing in hypotheticals right now. So that's, I just go there. So if Aiden's at 2 and Kayvon's there,
that will tell us a lot about this coaching staff and Brad Holmes, right? The same way, again, going back a little bit, but looking at when they picked Penei Sewell over Micah Parsons, like they were ready to pull the trigger on Micah, despite his character concerns, despite everything else that was being said about him. But they were like, but they didn't expect Penei to be there.
Right. So this is where we get into the draft of, okay, so Trayvon goes first.
Yeah. Could the similar
didn't expect it. Yeah. We were going to pick
Kayvon, but we didn't expect Aiden to be here. That will tell us a lot, right? That will tell us a lot if they believe in Aiden's production, if they believe that he has a higher ceiling to reach, or do they go with Kayvon and they're just like, no, we don't believe the character concerns and we believe that he has the higher ceiling.
How much could this end up being a business decision as well with Aiden available at 2 to sell tickets?
I don't believe that would be a driving factor for Brad Holmes.
Well, not for Brad Holmes, but for Sheila.
I believe respectfully, Dan and Brad would respectfully tell Sheila, the best way for you to sell tickets is for us to win games.
Yeah, make the playoffs. Making the playoffs will sell more tickets.
Meko, I appreciate that. I just wanted your take on that because people have started asking that question and people are talking about that. And people are saying it's a no-brainer. If Aiden's available too, that's a no-brainer. I'm like, I disagree.
I disagree.
It's a brainer. It's definitely a brainer. Thank you.
It's a brainer.
It's a debate. It's not like, oh, you're getting him a 2. No.
Well, because
You
again,
disagree.
there's no perfect prospect. That's the reason why we're talking about Trayvon Walker going 1. Right?
Well, true.
If Aiden Hutchinson was this perfect prospect, Trayvon Walker going 1 would never be a conversation. No matter how athletic he was, they'd be like, no. It would be Aiden Hutchinson, and it still might be Aiden Hutchinson.
So you get me to the point of, why don't we just trade the F back and get why don't we just get more picks?
Because I don't want to drop out of the top 10.
I know. But that's another conversation. I don't think
they
will. I think you take who you take it to, you do it. But I'm just saying.
No, I'd
just be saying it.
Dude, these next 16 days are going to be hell. People are already,
which is going to be annoying. I mean, really, it gets to the annoying well, now it gets to the really annoying, random hot takes, because there's nothing else to talk about. Oh, did you
don't even get me started, because I'm trying to be nice to Chris Sims. I've liked Chris Sims for so many years. And
what did he just do in the mock draft? Did he just
No, it wasn't even a mock draft. It was him ranking his top 5 pass rushers, and Kayvon Thibodeau was not in the top 5.
Oh, yeah.
To say that is asinine, I do. Who am I to criticize Chris Sims, somebody who played in the NFL? I get it. I am just a strong believer of, if you're going to have a take, you at least need one other person backing up that take. I have not heard one person throughout this entire draft process say that Kayvon Thibodeau is not a top 5 pass rusher. So for a guy to come out, even if it's Chris Sims, to come out basically 2.5 weeks before the draft and say he's not top 5 in his own position, I can't take that serious.
He can't take it.
I cannot take that serious.
Blow out your rear end.
That's exactly. Meko, Darren said it for him. So anyway, any chance we're taking Hamilton
at 2?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
If they trade back, it's absolute if draft day comes and the Lions trade back to 4, I would probably almost start feeling like, oh, it's going to be Kyle Hamilton. Unless the Jets did something stupid and traded up to 2 and took Kyle Hamilton, then I'd be like, oh wow, everybody's on cocaine.
Yeah.
So what if, hypothetical, and then so if we trade back to 4, then they take it, and we're at 4. God, then you take Malik?
Yeah. We need to wrap up. It's getting movie.
But look.
This is why no one believes you when you said you were joking about that text.
Because we know you want Malik so badly.
Because
so
you
bad.
weren't joking.
Well, I just feel like leadership. We need some leadership. That's all. That's it. So, all right. Anything else, guys? This was a fun one. We went all over the place today. We were a winding road.
We were
through mountainous terrain. So thank you for those that stuck through the entire podcast.
We had to get our bearings. It's been a while since it's just been the 3 of us.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks. So many guests.
Just the 3 of us.
Just the 3 of us. All right, you guys. So thank you again. You too. Appreciate both of you. Also, thank you everyone for following us. Please like, follow, subscribe to the Questionable Podcast on YouTube. Just want to thank my wife, my daughter, the family, the crew, everybody, Darren, Neil, and company for everything, all the support. And again, all of our YouTube followers, subscribers, and everybody who's commenting, we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll have some comments on this one too. But anyway, Meko?
Yeah, definitely got to thank my wife, my daughters, for being on the front lines of supporting me. I'm going to echo Scott's sentiment. Thank you to every single person, again, that is subscribed, every last 110 of you as of right now, for again, supporting us and engaging with 3 random guys who have very questionable opinions on our local sports teams. Also, special thank you to Eric for coming on last week.
Yeah,
Eric has
thank
been
you, Eric.
He has been a rock star, really hyping us up in every opportunity that he's gotten. So we really appreciate that. Also want to thank Easy for when he came on. I want to thank Jeremy for when they came on, because again, these are guys that just took a chance on coming on. Again, 3 random guys having a podcast, and they were like, sure, we'll come on and hang out. And, it's one of the most like humbling and gratifying things is when you sit down with people who have been doing this for a while, and they, upon leaving, they're like, hey, you guys really know what you're doing, and you guys have something special here. So want to thank all 3 of those guys for coming on, and just again helping us become better at what we're doing.
Trying.
Yeah.
Gian?
I have to follow that. That was
Yeah,
that was so good. That was that was
But I can help
masterclass.
you.
That was just a masterclass in gratitude.
See, there you go. Teed you up. Knock it down.
Masterclass in gratitude. No, so I want to thank as always, my wife. And to the people who rolled the dice on, as Meko says, 3 dudes. Thank you to the 110 and counting. Really appreciate it. And you guys, and again, I'm just gonna be echoing everything Meko said. Jeremy, Easy, Eric, and Maze. Got you on that one. Thank him first for coming. Hey, it hasn't happened yet. He could still back out, but I'm just going to thank him anyway. So that I just have one thing different. But yeah.
Well, all right. Well, have fun in LA. Any red carpets this weekend? Any fancy dinners that we need to know about?
No, it's pretty
It's low key right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's just getting back in town. Okay, no problem. We'll keep us updated.
Get back in town for the holidays.
Yeah, just getting back in. Yeah, so
Yeah.
keep us updated. Keep
from St. Patrick's Day. It's a
sure. Yeah. Didn't know if you were hanging out with LeBron or something. He seems to not care about basketball stuff.
Nuh-uh.
Anyway, all right, you guys, everybody, thanks for listening, tuning in, and tune in next week. We're gonna do a mock draft next week. The following week, I'll be in Vegas. We're gonna do the draft week podcast. We got a lot going on, so please, again, like, follow, subscribe. Thanks. This is the Questionable Podcast out.